It was incredibly strange. The day that Shane died, we woke up. He had gone out the night before, or we had gone out the night before, and we'd gone to a show. And I woke up before him, and I went out to move the car for alternate side for street cleaning because we lived in Lower Manhattan. And I knew that he was going to be tremendously hungover and just awful. So I took the opportunity to, instead of looking for parking, and I had stayed sober the night before. I had just been babysitting him, basically.
Yeah.
And I took the opportunity to move the car and take a nap in the car, double parked, instead of trying to find parking.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I went and I got us coffee and I got him up, and normally I would have given him a blowjob, but we were running late. So we got out, and by the way, thank God I didn't give him a blowjob because it probably would have killed him, knowing what I know now.
Right.
Which would be like,
and then you have that on your conscience.
More trauma.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, can you imagine? I'm almost sad about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
Right. So we get up, we just go through our like daily routine shit. And he had to work that night. He was a bartender. And so the plan was we were going to take him, he was going to go work out, and then we were going to make a quick stop at a wedding reception for a friend. So we needed to go get a card, and that was the whole thing. He died owing me $12 for parking. Whatever. And then he'd go to work and life would move on. So I dropped him off at the gym, and then I walked up Avenue A to Two Boots to get a slice of pizza. And I was just going to enjoy my like hour of quiet, because as much as we were pretty obsessive and codependent in our relationship, and we just really enjoyed each other, man. He was fucking hilarious, and we just really meshed well. But man, when I could get an hour without him needing something, because he was very emotionally demanding, I really enjoyed that. So I was like, I got an hour to myself that he's going to be at the gym, and I'm going to have a slice of pizza, and it's going to be awesome, and I'm going to return some emails, and he's not going to need me to get him anything. And just as they were putting my pizza in the oven, he started texting me saying that he wasn't feeling well, and that he thought maybe he was having like a panic attack, and could I come get him?
Now, had you been having panic attacks back then? Did you know what that felt like?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
I mean, I had a little bit of history with that in my teens, but he and I had talked extensively about it. And
was that a normal thing for him, or was this unusual?
Yeah, he had pretty severe PTSD that was exacerbated by it was both medicated and exacerbated by his drinking.
As most things are.
Right. Yeah. And he also, I mean, it was August, and he had a tendency to get heat sick really easily.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So I figured, all right, he's either feeling panicky or he's a little overheated and dehydrated. I'll just go get the car. And so I just said like, okay, I'll be there in a few minutes. And he kept texting me, and he sounded really frantic, and he called. And he was like, are you on your way? And I'm like, yes, Shane, I'm on my way. Like, I'm walking to the car. I'm just getting my pizza. And so I pulled up around the block and parked in front of the gym. And I texted, hey, I'm here. And I waited maybe 30 seconds. And then I called, and I got no answer. And the last text that he had sent to me was like, hurry, please hurry. And I just got this fucking feeling, just like, man, something's not good. Something's not right. And as I was thinking I should pay for parking and go inside, I saw 2 police officers run into the building, and I knew.
Yeah.
So I went inside, and I saw him on the ground, and there was like a woman standing off to the right, sobbing. And I think she was the one who had called 911, and they're trying to give him CPR. And I'm like, I immediately completely dissociated.
Yeah.
I said 2 times, oh my God, oh my God. And then I realized that sounded, that was when I realized I was outside of my body, because I could hear what I was saying, and I could put it in the framework of like, you're going to get hysterical if you don't ask somebody a question about what's going on.
Right.
So I turned to the crying woman and I asked her what happened. And then I established who I was and got his wallet and his phone. And and then I stepped away from it. I mean, I took in the scene. I looked at him. I looked at what was happening. I thought maybe he'd fallen down the stairs because it was a concrete floor. And then I went outside and tried to remember his brother's name to call his brother from his phone. And so they rolled him out into the ambulance. The cops gathered me up, and I remember specifically saying to the police officers, I was like, am I going to get a parking ticket? Like, can I leave this here?
Oh my gosh. The
And they're
things
like,
we focus on, right?
yeah,
In
like
moments of trauma.
I'm the fucking pit crew always. And
Yep.
they were like, I was like, I only paid for an hour of parking. This is going to take more than an hour. They're like, if you get a ticket, you can deal with that later. Just get in the car. Just get in the
Right.
back of our car. And the whole way up to the hospital, I was cracking jokes with them about like being in the back of a police car, like just
Yep.
trying
Yep.
to, it was so fucking weird, but I also was not inside of my own body for any of it.
Yeah.
And when we got to the hospital, I stood maybe about 10 feet away while they were working on him. And it was that same situation. It's like, I'm not even in here.
Yeah.
So that's what it was like. It was really surreal. And I
Mhm.
was, even in the moment, both kind of impressed with myself for my crisis management acumen,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
also had this feeling of like, this is going to hit me really hard one of these
Really
days.
hard.
Like what's happening
Yeah.
right now is very bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when did it hit you?
It took, well, that night after, well, there's two answers to that. In the immediate, what happened was I called everybody. We went through the entire process of, talking to the social worker, and I got his family there, and we did all that, and signed up, gave our numbers for the organ donation place to call, and there's all these logistical things that have to happen.
Right.
Um, and there's actually a lot of really pretty funny stories that come out of that first few hours. But um, afterwards, I went to the bar that he worked at, which was just down the street. He died at Beth Israel, which is on 14th Street in
Mhm.
Manhattan, and the bar that he worked at was on St. Mark's. And so I went down there and just kind of sat there shell shocked with everyone around me for a while and got just absolutely shithoused and
Right.
lost it somewhere around 4 a.m.
Mhm.
But I don't know that I would qualify that as it hitting me,
Mhm.
right? Because I wasn't really there for that. It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it took about a year and a half for the panic attacks to start, for the PTSD symptoms to kick
Yeah. Yeah.
in.
I
And
guess
that
there's
wasn't until
I'm just realizing there is an interesting difference between when it hits you and when you can confront it.
right. Well, there's an interesting like functional thing that I learned, which is that I had always thought that denial was the kind of hysterical, like, no, they're not dead, or I don't believe it, or I've kept their room the same, or whatever kind of
Right.
breaks with reality that happen. And what I found was that for me, what denial was I could not accept that something had happened to me.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I got off easy. He's dead. Something happened
Mhm.
to him.
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and it wasn't until it got to the point that I was unable to function that it was like, no, something has happened to you. And that took quite a while because
Yeah.
I really know how to throw up the walls.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Good solid wall builder.
Right.